features without opposites. So we talked about the features, meaning the attributes of the letters that have opposites last week. Now we'll talk about the remaining attributes, those that don't have opposites. Then, meaning after those that we've already mentioned, there are traits of the letters that have no opposites. The characteristics of the letters that have no opposites are the 11th is whistling, safir, which is the attribute of sin, zay, and sad. These letters were named the whistling letters because the sound that comes out with these letters comes out like the whistle of a ta'ir, a flying creature, such as a bird, bat, or bee. That's a ta'ir, a flying creature. The strongest of those letters is the sad, sad, because of how the tongue elevates, sad, and then adheres to the upper jaw, sad. After that in strength comes zay, 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 because of its air suppression. It's air suppression. If you remember, zay does not release the air. Zay, zay. The weakest is the seen, because of its air expulsion. Seen. Yani, it's near air expulsion. Sad also has air expulsion, but sad has tongue elevation. And sad has sticking to the upper jaw. So that makes it stronger than seen, that lacks those, except the air expulsion that it has. So those are, that's the attribute of whistling, and those are the whistling letters. The 12th attribute is the qalqalah, which might literally translate as commotion. Ibtirab. Qalqalah means ibtirab. And it is also called laqlaqah by flipping the lam and the qaf. Qalqalah, laqlaqah. It is a sound that comes after any of the following 5 letters when there is a sukoon on them. Qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal. They form the acronym qutbu jaddi. Qutbu jaddi. The qalqalah resembles a haraka. You say, if it's a haraka, you want to say, you'd say, for example, Abi, Abi, that's a kasra on that ba. Abi, Abi, Abi. But if it's a qalqalah, which resembles a haraka, and is not a full-fledged, pure haraka, then you'd say Abi, 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 not Abi, Abi, Abi. The reliable saying is that it inclines towards a kasra in the ba, jim, and dal, not a fatha. So you say, تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب وتب. You say والسماء ذات البروج جيم والسماء ذات البروج. Jim. The qalqalah leans towards a kasra, and the jim in particular, some people might find it challenging to produce the qalqalah with the jim. So if you find that, then practice it. وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الْبُرُوجِ. And the dal, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Not a fatha. You might hear someone recite قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ Allahu Samad, something like that. So the reliable saying is that it inclines towards a kasra in the ba, jim, and dal, not a fatha, and towards a dhamma in the qaf and the ta. So you say قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ قاف بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. And for the ta, الذي أطعمهم الذي أطعمهم من جوع. So those are your 5 letters of qalqalah, and those are your 2 sounds. One qalqalah leaning towards a kasra, and one qalqalah leaning towards a dhamma. Of those 5 letters, 3 of them have the one that leans towards a kasra, and 2 of them have the qalqalah that lean towards a dhamma. And please feel free to ask if you have any question. When stopping on these letters, it is more obvious than when continuing. The qalqalah, that is. So it is the greater qalqalah. Now, first of all, qalqalah is always with a sukoon. When one of these letters has a sukoon. So when you're stopping on that sukoon, then the qalqalah is the greater qalqalah. And when you're not stopping on that sukoon, then that's a lesser qalqalah. So example of stopping on that sukoon is قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ. An example of not stopping on that sukoon is لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ. The first one. There's 2 qalqalas here. لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ. So the first one in the middle there, I'm not stopping, so that qalqalah is the lesser qalqalah. At least I'm attempting to do so. When I first learned this, I said to our teacher, may Allah have mercy on him, Haj Ali, I said to him, I don't hear any difference there. I never heard a difference. So he told me that, yeah, that's you. You need to fix it. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. Also, let the reciter be mindful not to reinforce the qalqalah with a hamzah. So that means don't say قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ with a hamzah there. Ahad. I'm doing that so you can hear it. Don't say قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Don't say تَبَّتْ يَدَا أَبِي لَهَبٍ وَتَبٍّ with a hamzah there. Just let your qalqalah go. تَبَّتْ يَدَا أَبِي لَهَبٍ وَتَبٍّ. There's no hamzah. ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب. No qalq, no Hamzah there. As opposed to ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب. Here, I reinforced it with the Hamzah. You might not be hearing that, but that might be because you're not hearing me right in front of you. But a teacher, especially a good one, he'll hear it. And then he'll catch you and tell you not to do it, which is what happened with me with Sheikh Haj Ma'ruf. I had the opportunity to recite on Haj Ma'ruf some suwar, alhamdulillah, some long ones too. And some people told me after I had been sitting with Haj Ma'ruf for a while, they told me your recitation got obviously better, clearly improved under Haj Ma'ruf. That was then. I think it digressed since then, degenerated since then. Maybe my tongue was moister and looser then. And also, among the things that will affect your recitation is sins. So if you are consistently obedient and reciting, then inshallah your recitation will be good. But if you're sinning and reciting, you might find some imperfections in your recitation. The 13th is air diversion, inhiraf. Inhiraf means to divert or to swerve. For the tongue to raise up and cut the air, making the sound go around the tongue when pronouncing the lam and the ra. Lam, 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 ra. Lam, ra. We're going to see some examples of pronouncing lam and ra, inshallah. So when we come, inshallah, down to some examples we have prepared, we'll attempt to practice this attribute, inshallah ta'ala. The 14th is rolling or repetition, takrir, takrir. It is the attribute or the property of the ra, ra. Rolling or repetition, repeating. Rolling the ra is not proper pronunciation. Rather, the tongue should rise up for it only once. Yani, for a single ra, the tongue should rise once for a single ra. However, the nature of the ra makes it prone to rolling. Thus, it is an attribute of the ra, that rolling or repetition. It is an attribute of the ra that, but one should avoid it. It is an attribute of the ra, but one should avoid it. This repetition is most obvious when the ra has a shadda. So you might catch that in some reciters. And you might have that yourself. So practice that, not letting your ra go. And then make many of them. If the reciter pronounces with the roll, then when that ra has a shadda, he has pronounced numerous ra's, meaning 3 or 4. And if he pronounces the roll of the ra when the ra has no shadda, then he will have pronounced 2 ra's. Practice this verse of the Quran. فاستغفر ربه وخر راكعا فاستغفر ربه وخر راكعا را فاستغفر ربه را وخر راكعا خر not خر 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 فاستغفر ربه وخر راكعا. The scholars of recitation have documented what we have just said about the ra, like Mekki, Ibn Abi Talib al-Qaysi, and others. The 15th attribute is spreading, tafashi, which is an attribute of the sheen, because the sheen spreads upon pronouncing it from its source, which is the middle of the tongue. That's where it comes from. And it spreads until reaching the exit of the which is from the front of your tongue. So you say sheen, sheen, sheen. Subhanallah. You might think that, okay, sheen is sheen, fine, sheen, yani, okay. Uh, so anyone can pronounce sheen, right? Oh, yeah, okay. But I'll tell you, when I first learned these attributes of the letters and how the scholars articulated this, then I went back and I tried to practice what I learned. And then when I went back to sit with Hajj Ali after that and I recited for him, and then I said in my recitation, Sheen, he looked at me. So then I knew that there was a difference in the pronunciation of the Sheen, and he noticed it. So I'm telling you that to encourage you to practice. Try, Yani, take these details and implement them. Don't let that go in one ear and out the other ear. This is for your Quran and even for your awrad. Awrad is the plural of wird. A wird is a habitual practice. So you might do tariqah after Fajr and after Maghrib. So what you're going to do, you're going to perfect that. أستغفر الله العظيم وأتوب إليه. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم, etc. And I meant by it, though, in particular, I meant by it what you say for tahsin, like بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم, even if it's not Quran. Part of the benefit and the secret of those dhikrs is realized by proper pronunciation. So the 16th is having an extended exit point. This means that the exit of that letter covers more than a single spot on the tongue. It is an entire line. The entire side of the tongue until reaching the exit of the lamb. Bod. It takes the whole side of your tongue. Bod. 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 Subhanallah, since I started going over this with you, brothers and sisters, it's been a very beneficial review for me. I didn't know how rusty I got. Very, very, very rusty. But Alhamdulillah, I got to knock off some of that rust and re improve uh, some of my pronunciation. Also, I suspect that perhaps some of the believers have been making dua for me. So maybe that's been helping too. May Allah accept your supplications. I mean, he said, but how can we know we are doing it right? Well, the best way, of course, is to sit in front of a teacher and let the teacher verify it for you. Once you sit in front of a teacher and the teacher verifies it for you, then after that, you keep practicing. Now, there's another thing though, which is I find that there's two types of people. Some people who can hear themselves and some people who cannot. So if you're a person who can hear yourself, then that's going to help a lot. It's going to help you perfect your pronunciation because you can correct yourself. After you learn what's correct, get a verified pronunciation from a teacher. If you can hear yourself, then you correct yourself. If you can't hear yourself, then you're not going to correct yourself. Yeah, you said you need to listen to us. Yes. But over this forum, I will not, inshallah. So, at the least, take the information and then you go to a teacher, as a qualified teacher in your area, for example, and sit with that teacher and um, practice. And you don't even have to recite the Quran for that practice. What else you can do for that practice? Just recite the Arabic letters. Sit down with a reciter, a Quran reciter, and say, I'd like to recite the letters to you. Can I recite the letters to you and you hear me pronounce them? And then he'll say, Inshallah, or she, yes. And then you go. You say alif, ba, ta, not ta, ta, fa, Jim from the middle of your tongue. Jim, not from the front, not Jim, might sound the same. Pronounce it from the middle. Jim, etc. This means that the exit of the letter of that letter covers more than a single spot on the tongue. It is an entire line, the entire side of the tongue until reaching the exit of the lam. Blood stops where lam starts. This is the result of its strength, which is derived from its air suppression. Bod is a strong letter because it suppresses the air. Bod. Wadduha. Wadduha. It doesn't stop the sound. You can still hear the sound. Wadduha. Waladdallin. But it does suppress the air. Wadduha. So that makes it a stronger letter. Also has tongue elevation. Wadduha. Wadduha. And it has sticking to the roof of the mouth. Wadduha. Wadduha. The 17th, which is the last, is the attribute of the waw and the ya. Softness. Lean. More specifically, the two soft letters are ya sakina and waw sakina. What does sakina mean? It means there's no vowel on it. Both preceded by a fatha. So, for example, li'ilafi Quraysh. Quraysh. There's a ya. Quraysh. إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف. There's a yeah. والصيف. Soft. فليعبدوا رب هذا البيت. البيت الذي أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم من خوف. خوف. That's soft, that wow there. خوف. The meaning of their being soft is that there is an extension because of their softness. One should not say them hard and fast, rather soft and easy without strength. So you don't say Quraysh, li'ilafi Quraysh. You don't say khawf, min khawf. No, soft and easy. Min khawf, Quraysh. The duration of this extension is at least 2 counts. And when we get to the rules of extension, then we'll see this with examples, inshallah ta'ala. The synopsis is that a letter may have as many as 7 features at once, but not less than 5, since 10 attributes have opposites. 1. Hamzah is a strong, low letter of air suppression, mouth expansion, and samt. So, strong means strong letters stop the sound. So, Hamzah stops the sound, like وحين البأس البأس. So you hear that stop in the sound. Al-Ba's. So you know then we have letters that stop the air from passing, even if they don't stop the sound. And we have letters that stop the sound altogether. When we talk about the air stopping, then you have 2 cases. Either the sound will keep going even though the air stopped, or the sound will stop also. So Hamzah is a strong, low letter of air suppression, mouth expansion, and samt. Strong means it stops the sound. You need to study that, brothers and sisters, so that all of that clicks for you. Hearing it from me now, that doesn't mean it's going to stick in your heart. Being a low letter means the tongue is low. So when you say Hamzah, your tongue is depressed, low. It is a strong, low letter of air suppression, so it stops the air. Mouth expansion, because your tongue is not sticking to the top of your mouth. Like when you say sawd and bod and ba, you don't have a mouth expansion there. Really, it's like your mouth is closing in. Bod, sawd, ba. But other letters that don't have that, it's like your mouth is wider. Ah, ah, ba, ta, mouth expansion. And samt, review it. You review that. We don't have to talk about that now. That's that thing about whether the word is an Arabic word or not. It's fine. You review. Ba is also a strong low letter of air suppression and mouth expansion. But it's a letter of dhalq. That means it's on the edge of the letter of the exit. It's on the edge of the exit. It's an edgy letter if you want. It's an edgy letter or an edge letter if you want. It's on the edge of the exit. So you say ba, ba. So if you're on the edge, imagine yourself being on the edge of something. You're on the edge of a cliff. Whoa, that's the edge there. So the ba is from the edge. Ba. And there's other letters that come from the edge also. We're going to see them now, inshallah, but review them. So ba is also a strong letter, so it stops the sound, like in the saying of Allah, وَفَاكِهَةً وَأَبَّا وَأَبَّا, stops the sound, and of course stops the air. So ba is a strong, low letter, yani tongue depressed, down, not up, of air suppression. Ba, mouth expansion, because the tongue doesn't go up. But dhalq, it's an edge letter, not samt. And add the qalqalah, because you say وَتَبْ مَا أَغْنَى عَنْهُ مَالُهُ وَمَا كَسَبْ. So that's 6 attributes for the ba. 5 attributes for the Hamzah. Ta is also a strong low letter, but of air expulsion, not air suppression. Ta is a strong letter. So that means it stops the sound. It releases the air. It doesn't suppress the air. So how's that? Yes, that is the case. It does release the air, but it has the potential to stop the air if you don't complete the letter. If you don't complete the letter, it has the potential to stop the air. So you could say, if you said at raba at instead of at, if you just said at, so there is your strength of being able to stop the sound altogether. At raba, but it does release the air, and it could suppress the air if you don't pronounce it properly. At raba, and mouth expansion and samt. Tha is a gentle, not a strong letter, a gentle letter. Gentle means, what does gentle mean? Gentle is rikhwa. So here, you have strong letters. They stop the sound. Then you have gentle letters. The sound runs and flows with them when they are pronounced. So gentle letter means the sound flows. Strong letter, the sound stops. Gentle letter, the sound flows. And then there's something in between, the medium letters. Tha is a gentle letter, doesn't stop the sound. Low, yani the tongue is down. Tha releases the air, air expulsion. A gentle low letter of air expulsion. Tha, mouth expansion, and samt. And is said to be a spreading letter like Shin. If we count that, then it will have 6 attributes. If we don't count that, then it'll have 5 attributes. Practice the saying of Allah, thalithu thalatha. There are 4 thas there. Thalithu thalatha. Thalithu thalatha. Jim from the middle of your tongue. Jim is a strong stopping the sound. Low letter, tongue is depressed. Of air suppression, doesn't release the air. Mouth expansion, the tongue doesn't stick to the roof. Qalqalah and samt, it's not on the edge. Practice. That ja ja, that ja ja. Put your tongue in that middle there. Don't say jim like a dal. That ja ja like that's a dal. Go to the middle. That ja ja, there's a difference. That ja ja. Ha is gentle, so it doesn't stop the sound. Low, so the tongue is down, not up. Air expulsion doesn't stop the air. Mouth expansion, the tongue doesn't stick to the roof. And samt. Practice this saying of Allah. Bimuzahzihi. Bimuzahzihi. You have 2 has there. One has a sukoon, one has a kasra. Bimuzahzihi. But that's a good one to practice to help break your throat in for that ha. If you don't practice that, then you're going to say that wrong. You might say bimuzahzihi, bimuzahzihi, for example. You don't want to do that. Bimuzahzihi. And there's a ha at the end of this particular word here. Bimuzahzihi. That's a nice practice there. For me, that feels like a workout. I can feel the muscles there. بمزحزحه. Ha is gentle, not stopping the sound. Low, the tongue is down. Air expulsion releases the air. Mouth expansion and samt. 5 attributes. Dal is a strong low letter of air suppression, mouth expansion, qalqalah, and samt. 6 attributes. Dhal is gentle, so it doesn't stop the sound. Because you say wadhariyat, wadhariyat. It does stop the air. It's a low letter of air suppression. Low means the tongue is down. Air suppression. So don't release the air. It's not like that, thal, even though it's from the same spot as that, it has the opposite quality. So instead of releasing the air like that, you detain the air and you say thal, thal, but it doesn't stop the sound. Mouth expansion and samt. Ra is medium. So between the strong letters that stop the sound and the gentle letters that don't stop the sound. Ra is a medium low letter of air suppression, mouth expansion, flicking, if you want. Flicking, that's what's meant here is not the rolling. The flicking is the inhiraf, the inhiraf. Ra, lam also. Flicking letter. Rolling and dhalq, it's on the edge. Ra is on the edge. Ra. That's 7 attributes. And it is said to be a spreading letter. That would make it have 8. Zai is gentle, not stopping the sound. Air suppressing, low letter of mouth expansion. Whistling, zai, zai, and samt. Seen is a gentle low letter of air expulsion, releases the air. Mouth expansion, whistling, seen, and samt. And it is said to be a spreading letter. Practice Suratun Nas. If you want to practice seen, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس. You saw that there? Al-waswas, etc. You can practice Suratun Nas. Shin is a gentle low letter of air expulsion, mouth expansion, spreading, and samt. Sod is a gentle, not stopping the sound, elevated letter, the tongue goes up, of air expulsion, releases the air. Adherence to the upper jaw, sticks to the upper jaw, meaning makes the mouth close in, so there's no mouth expansion for sod. Whistling and samt. And it is said to be a spreading letter. Practice this saying of Allah Ta'ala. فَقُصُصِ الْقَصَصِ فَقُصُصِ الْقَصَص. I need to practice that. فَقُصُصِ الْقَصَص. And this one is nice because you have 4 sods, one with a fatha, one with a kasra, one with a dhamma, and one with a sukoon, if you stop. فَقُصُصِ الْقَصَص. Dad is a gentle, elevated letter of air suppression, adherence to the upper jaw, having an extended exit, and samt. And is said to be a spreading letter, so that's 6 qualities, not including the spreading. Fa is a strong, elevated letter of air suppression, adherence to the upper jaw, qalqalah, and samt. 6 qualities, and every one of these qualities is a strong quality. Ta has all the strong attributes. So that's why ta is the strongest of all the Arabic letters, or the thickest, if you want, the heaviest of all of them. It's a strong letter, so it stops the sound. Elevated letter, tongue goes up, that gives it strength. Air suppression stops the air, that gives it strength. Adherence to the upper jaw makes the mouth close in, so there's no mouth expansion, that gives it strength. And qalqalah and samt, so it's a very strong letter. Dha. Dha is a gentle elevated letter of air suppression. Gentle means doesn't stop the sound. This is practice for me. How do you memorize? One way by memorizing is what? Repetition, repetition, repetition. Are you bored with my repetition? You might be. I hope you're not, but that's how it's going to soak in for me. I don't know about you. Dha is a gentle, elevated letter of air suppression. Adherence to the upper jaw and samt. So gentle means doesn't stop the sound. Elevated letter means the tongue goes up. Air suppression stops the flow of air. So it stops the flow of air without stopping the sound. Adherence to the upper jaw, that means the mouth closes in, there's no mouth expansion. And samt. Ayn is a medium low letter of air suppression. Medium means between strong and gentle. Strong letters stop the sound. Gentle letters do not stop the sound, and medium letters are in between. So ayn is a medium letter, a medium low letter. Your tongue is down. Of air suppression, it blocks the air. Mouth expansion and samt. Practice this saying of Allah Ta'ala. This is from Surah Shura. وهو الذي يقبل التوبة عن عباده ويعفو عن السيئات ويعلم ما تفعلون وهو الذي يقبل التوبة عن عباده ويعفو عن السيئات ويعلم ما تفعلون. How many we have there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ayns. Ghayn is a gentle, elevated letter of air suppression, mouth expansion, and samt. Gentle means doesn't stop the sound. Elevated, so the tongue goes up. Air suppression, mouth expansion, and samt. Fa is a gentle, not stopping the sound, low letter of air expulsion, mouth expansion, and being on the edge. Fat, then fat. Don't make your fat if it's on the edge, if it's an edge letter. Don't make it then too far from the edge. Fat, fat, fat. And it is said to be a spreading letter. You could practice minat ta'affuf, minat ta'affuf, minat ta'affuf, minat ta'affuf. Cough is a strong stopping the sound, elevated letter, tongue goes up, of air suppression, stops the air, mouth expansion, so the mouth doesn't close in for cough, qalqalah, and samt. Kaf is a strong low letter of air expulsion, mouth expansion, and samt. Practice this saying of Allah Ta'ala from Surah Taha. كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 calves. كي نسبحك كثيرا ك نسبحك كثيرا كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا. And this ayah has another recitation. كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا. Lam is a medium low letter of air suppression, mouth expansion, and dhalq, being on the edge. So medium, it's not a strong letter that stops the sound, and it's not a gentle letter that doesn't stop the sound. It's in between. Low letter, so the tongue doesn't go up. Lam, lam, lam. That's interesting thing to understand there. For lam to be a low letter, but when you say lam, don't you have to raise your tongue? Lam. So what do we mean? How is lam a low letter and your tongue goes up? How is it a letter that stays down if your tongue goes up? Uh, so that means then you need to understand the meaning of being a low letter. You need to gather all of those low letters, all those letters where the tongue stays down, and see what they have in common, so that the scholars called them huruf al-istifal, the lowness of the lowness of the tongue. So lam is a medium low letter of air suppression, mouth expansion, air diversion, which is the flicking, and dhalq, being on the edge. Lam, lam. 6 attributes. Allah says, وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَنْ أَلْقَى إِلَيْكُمُ السَّلَامَ لَسْتَ مُؤْمِنًا ولا تقولوا لمن ألقى إليكم السلام لست مؤمنا. Meme is a medium low letter of air suppression, mouth expansion, humming, that's the ghunna, and dhal, being on the edge. Meme, meme. Can you think, how did those scholars even perceive these letters to be able to break these details down like this? Being on the edge. Who thought of that? Meme is a medium low letter of air suppression, mouth expansion, humming, and being on the edge. And it is said to be a spreading letter. Practice the miraculous 8 successive memes in the 48th verse of Surah Hud. This is part of the miracle of the Quran here. Nowhere else in Arabic language or any other language has 8 memes. وَعَلَى أُمَمٍ مِّمَّن مَّعَكَ, and they're all back to back. 8 memes consecutively. وعلى ممن معك. Noon is a medium low letter of air suppression, mouth expansion, humming, meaning the ghunna, and dhalq. Now, ghunna doesn't mean hum in the language, as far as I know. Ghunna is the sound that the doe makes. The doe is a female deer, a doe, makes the sound from her nose. That's ghunna. And dhalq, it's on the edge. Noon. Noon. Practice the 12th verse of Yasin, at least a piece of it. Inna nahnu nuhyi. Inna nahnu nuhyi. Inna nahnu nuhyi. You got 2 has in there too. Inna nahnu nuhyi. Now, an advice I can give you, when it comes to reciting the Quran and practicing your pronunciation, what I would do personally is whenever I would recite, I would pick something to practice. One thing, maybe two things, just to zero in on them. So I'll be reciting. If I want to practice Jeen one day when I'm reciting, then I'm not going to focus on everything that I find. Yeah, I'm not going to do anything wrong, inshallah. Yes, I'll repeat myself if I need to repeat myself or fix something that needs to be fixed. But I'm going to zero in. Today is Jeen Day, and I'll be practicing that. And then another time, maybe it's going to be a qalqalah day, and another time it's going to be another thing. Inna nahnu nuhyi. Ha is a gentle, not stopping the sound, low letter, tongue is down, of air expulsion, mouth expansion, and samt. Practice this 23rd verse of Surah Jathiyah. I didn't transliterate it because it would have came out like a paragraph or something. So أفرأيت من اتخذ إلهه هواه وأضله الله على علم وختم على سمعه وجعل على بصره غشاوة فمن يهديه من بعد الله. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 has in this ayah. أفرأيت من اتخذ إلهه هواه وأضله الله على علم وختم على سمعه وقلبه وجعل على بصره غشاوة فمن يهديه من بعد الله. And wow is a gentle, low extension letter of air suppression, mouth expansion, softness, and samt. Has 7 attributes. Allah says, لَوَّوْا رُؤُوسَهُمْ لَوَّوْا رُؤُوسَهُمْ. Ya is a gentle, low extension letter of air suppression, mouth expansion, softness, and samt. Practice this saying of Allah. يَأْتِيَ يَوْمٍ من قبل أن يأتي يوم. Where's that ya coming from? The middle of your tongue. يأتي يوم. يأتي يوم. So one day I might recite Quran and it's ya day. So I'm going to focus everywhere I find the ya and try to perfect it. One last thing here, and then we'll be finished this chapter, inshallah ta'ala. Benefit. The Arabic letters also have another feature. Each letter has a numeric value. Their values follow their original arrangement, the abjad sequence. It is as follows. أبجد هوز حطي كلم سعفص قرشت تخذ ضضغ. And some say kalaman. I took kalimun, and I never heard kalimun from anyone but our teachers. I took that from Sheikh Wafi, Dr. Wafi. Personally, I like to say kalimun because nobody says it. Everyone says kalaman. So to narrate something that maybe is not as famous. So what's the numeric values here? The abjad sequence has disappeared from most dictionaries, but is often used to list and arrange items. The first 9 are ones, the second 9 are tens, the third 9 are hundreds, and the last letter represents 1,000. So here, abjad, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hawaz, 5, 6, 7. Hotli, 8, 9. Those are ones. Then ya, kaf. So from ya, abjad, that's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hawaz, that's 3 more. 7. Hutli, 2 more, go up to 9. Those are your ones. So not including the ya. Ya is 10. And then the next ones are tens. Kalimun, so ya is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Safas, 60, 70, 80, 90. Then the rest are hundreds, except for the last letter. Karushet, so 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. Dhal is 700. Bavaghun, so 800, 900. Va is 900. And then Ghayn is 1,000. The poets use this. And the Jews were using this to try to figure out when Judgment Day will occur. They were taking the ayahs like Alif Lam Mim. And they were saying Alif is this much, and Lam is this much, and Mim is this much, and then Alif Lam Ra, like that, and Sad, Noon, etc. Kaf Ha Ya Ayn Sad. So they were using this حساب الجمل, sentential calculation, to try to figure out when Judgment Day will occur, and that's blasphemy. This issue will come back towards the end of the booklet with the permission of Allah. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam.